I'm really impressed with what Psycho-Pass 3 is delivering with this new anime season. We're halfway through Psycho-Pass 3 now, and it honestly feels like with each episode that I witness, it's actually getting progressively better. It's not like jumping like 10 times better than the previous episode, but it is slightly improving, and you can really get a taste and a better understanding week by week of where the end goal wants to go. Usually each episode, each case that we wrap up, we see a bunch of people sitting around a table discussing and plotting and scheming. And with this episode, we get a pretty good understanding that these fox heads are gonna be pretty important, as seen by getting bit by the fox and how most likely Sybil wants to keep some things a secret, as they always do, as we uncover more and more cases, and each of these cases by themselves seem like one and done things, but they all lead up to a bigger conspiracy. And the punchline to this episode, seeing what Komiya was doing and the whole AI hologram kind of mixing and matching and letting a computer basically do your speeches for you, which is against the rules, but still ended up getting her to win because people made their decisions. And it's like, that's Psycho-Pass. That is Psycho-Pass unfiltered, without the issues, and just really living up to what the first season laid out when it initially aired. I don't think anyone's gonna have too many major flaws with this political story, mainly because it feels so Psycho-Pass. At first, I thought, this was a new idea for Psycho-Pass. It didn't seem like they were doing anything too crazy, but once the technological side started to get explored in this episode, I was like, okay, I understand why we were getting a political thriller in this season of Psycho-Pass. There's just really a lot of unexpected curveballs with this episode, and I kind of appreciate how this story wasn't just like a one episode thing. It actually was the longest case that we've experienced in Psycho-Pass 3 to date. I don't know how many more stories we'll get. We got 4 more episodes. Will we get one more main story, or will we get 2, 3? I don't know, because they could have plenty of smaller stories or do something that's even larger and more insane in scope than what we just witnessed. But right now it feels like all the characters, both new and old, they're interesting, and they're getting tangled up in this big conspiracy where you see a lot of people in the background, in the shadows, working their magic, doing their thing, and you're like, obviously we gotta stop them, but at the same time, as always, at least I know this is what I always feel, Sybil isn't to be trusted. That's why Akane most likely is in jail, because she always was pushing against it, and well, eventually that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. I did like how it was this whole idea of, even though they're like so futuristic, they do have like laws and regulations. Like, you wouldn't want to have a computer, a robot, an AI dictate your world, right? So I did understand why there was like laws against having like a hologram and AI do things for you, because that just wouldn't be good. But it was interesting how even with that being exposed, she still ended up winning because people made their decision, right? And it's kind of interesting. You start thinking like, where could the future of Psycho-Pass world go if people start being more accepting to things like that? It's like, what will happen? Is it going to be more, are you voting for the person, or are you voting for the AI behind the words? It's like, those are the type of questions I've always appreciated with Psycho-Pass, because you could see a lot of the things in this world applying to our own world, maybe 50, 100, 10 years from now. You never know, because technology evolves so fast we can never keep up. 10 years ago, robots were tripping over their feet when we tried to program them to walk, and now they can do gymnastics. It's like, this can be a future of our own world. So it's like, it's both really fun to watch Psycho-Pass, but also start sweating as you're like, god damn, this could easily be us in a not too far off future from our own. But obviously, with that little tangent out of the way, this was a great episode. I love political stories in general. It's why I'm a big fan of Babylon this new anime season. And it was nice to have a Psycho-Pass style story in this new season, which they didn't have to do. And I did see some people on different social medias and things like that saying how they didn't really see the purpose in dedicating such a large amount of time to this story of just another election. But I think the payoff in what was going on with the holograms and just the sabotage and trying to expose, basically deceiving the people. There's a lot of people who are very much against, AI uses and things like that. It was interesting how they could pretty much shut down everything, so AI in the audience or her actually using it would get separated, and then kidnapping and just all this sabotage. And it was just an extremely interesting and exciting episode overall. Easily the most exhilarating, because not only did you have the whole kidnapping angle and then people trying to rush in to save them, you then ended up with having to fight, friend versus ex-friend, or then you have a robot who's like, oh shit, Dominator's not gonna work, the electricity's not gonna work, you gotta throw his ass down over a ledge, else you're probably gonna get killed. The action in this series is so well done, and it's only there for like 5 minutes out of the 45 minutes that we watch an episode of Psycho-Pass. But whether we're watching Arta just kind of swing around like a monkey doing these crazy acrobatics, to just the more hand-on-hand combat of someone like Kay and things like that, it just feels so violent, but there's so much detail and planning to the choreography that it is just some of the best action I've seen all year. Even though it's not that relevant in the episode, it's something that's so well detailed, it feels so realistic but brutal, as if these are trained professionals, and there's a reason why some of the other inspectors can't keep up with someone like Kei or Arta, because they're just in a league of their own. There's a lot of like little small moments in this episode that really hooked me. I liked Temma kind of like standing his ground after just episodes prior being kind of like shut down as being someone not being able to have a backbone, as just getting walked all over. Stand your ground, and he was able to do so in this episode, which was a nice little touch. But I think my favorite moment, despite having so many insane ones, was learning that both Kei and Arta, they weren't compatible by Sybil's recommendation. They were actually completely polar opposites, and by that system's account, they should not be partners, but they are. And that's what I think I really like the most about these two characters, is how they are so well connected. They shouldn't be. Their families killed each other, right? It's like, that shouldn't naturally become a best friend relationship, and I still highly suspect before the season wraps up, they will butt heads at some point, which I don't know if I want it to happen, but I think it'd be a very interesting narrative twist. But the idea that they don't put blind trust in this system. They believe in Sybil. They all believe in it. However, you shouldn't blindly trust this system to make your decisions. You should have your own logic. And that's something that I think Psycho-Pass desperately needs after seeing all the crazy shit that we have seen over the seasons and movies. I'm definitely biased because I have such a bird's eye view of what this system has done that I don't trust it in any way. However, I can understand why you would believe in the system, but also have your own determination to say, hey, you know, I am my own person. I believe in what I want to believe. I trust in a system, but why should I not have my own opinions and morals? And that's really interesting because that's so different than what most people end up following. You either believe in the system or you probably end up as a criminal in some way, shape, or form. But then you have these characters who just keep getting lucky breaks and continuing to push back against the system, but still showing their true colors as if they believe in the law. However, sometimes you need to put your own trust, whether that be pulling the trigger even if the Dominator says this person is, you need to kill them, or you don't belong with this person as a partner, and they say, absolutely we do. Like, that's one of the best parts of the season of Psycho-Pass, is that it's so familiar in so many different ways, both with its storytelling, very mirroring season 1, but also its partner dynamic just being so different than anything we've ever seen. I love seeing the returning characters and seeing what they're going to be doing for the season overall. However, it is Kei and Arta that is my main selling point. I love their dynamic, and it is so interesting and unique to anything we've ever seen with Psycho-Pass to date. The end of the episode I thought was incredibly sweet and touching because obviously Arta, we knew who he voted for, right? But the fact that they started off so hostile towards one another, they really didn't have much going for them, but now seeing them just sit on that Ferris wheel and things like that, really have this bonding moment, I'm interested to see if they'll go any further than that, whether they will stay friends and we won't see her pop up again in this series, or maybe just not pop up and have a chit-chat with him one-on-one, or if maybe they'll try to push something more romantic. I really don't know, but there definitely is some chemistry there, which I do appreciate, and just some of the lines being like, hey, you know, you said that you wanted to run the government like a TV show, let it be fun, don't be a horror or a thriller. I'm like, thank you for those lines, because that's exactly what I'm feeling. I'm like, you don't want to run a government like a TV show, but if you are, please don't make it a horror or a thriller. We know what that's gonna look like. And I love that. I love those little moments, even though this episode is so thrilling, exhilarating, you're like, holy shit, just like the whole idea that people were basically faking their deaths and then they would kind of open back up with drugs, which is how they could get in and out of places and not be recognized and things like that. It's like, there's so many like little interesting technological, neurological things at play, and then each character moment, each set piece in this episode was so damn good. Like, it feels so nice to walk out of an episode, both walk in and out of an episode, and feel like this is Psycho-Pass at its best. I really don't have issues with this season so far, and we're halfway through. I might even go as far to say this is so far the best paced Psycho-Pass experience that I've seen. And season 1 is incredibly well paced, but the idea of these episodes being double length and almost feeling like mini movies, but like with a case like this, it lasted quite a while, but it feels like we're getting so much time to see so many different sides of Psycho-Pass in a way we haven't seen, and the ways that we have seen get their time to flourish and shine. It's like, this is exactly what Psycho-Pass needs to be, and I really hope that they just keep making more Psycho-Pass if it's gonna look and feel like this. New characters, new ideas, new stories. And if they wanted to give me more Kei and Arta, depending if they both survive and they both are on good terms and not kind of killed by Sybil or something like that, I would be fine seeing another season with these two characters before maybe shifting to another one. Because Psycho-Pass is this story that you don't need to keep the same characters in their focus. Like, you can tell a story with a set of characters and then move on to new ones. Because this world has so much story to tell, and until Sybil is either exposed as being horrible or they fix the corruption at hand, I think there's always going to be more psychopath stories to tell, and it could be this never-ending crime story with new characters and perspectives, as many great series have done, because, I mean, look at how many cop shows are still running. They can shift perspectives around and still keep the masses entertained. Another great episode of Psychopaths, easily my favorite, and each episode has been getting slightly better, and I hope it continues on this track, because it's damn good right now. What did everyone think, though? Did you find this episode and the twist really interesting, or was this really not your cup of tea for Psychopaths? Whatever you're feeling, do let me know in that comment section below. If you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you have any news. So until next time, everyone, please take care. Have a good one.